Hey, Miami sports fans. Stop by Canesware today at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. And check out their awesome merchandise selection of your favorite South Florida sports teams. From the Miami Dolphins, Hurricanes, Heat, Marlins, Florida Panthers, and Inter Miami, they've got it all. Celebrate your favorite team and show off your fandom with their beautiful team starter jackets, killer-looking helmets, team jerseys, cool shirts, and more. And if you're out of town or out of state, no worries. Go to caneswear.com and find everything they have on their site. Select what you want, and they will ship your gear to you. Anything over $99 is shipped for free. Don't wait. Stop at Caneswear today.
Traffic, but I love you.
Ahora de Cuba la Bella, del Palacio de los Jugos,
los chicharrones.
Los vecinos aquí se enteran de todo.
Mi vecina era CDR en Cuba.
Y en verdad no hay nothing that you can do. Chacleteras sin llames con corbata.
Aquí yo vendo hot dog, pero en Cuba yo era médico.
Le saco el dedo y digo Q.
Sweet home Hialeah. Solo 30 minutos de Le Fallo. Oh, sweet home Hialeah. I hate your traffic, but I love you.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of East 10th Street Boys, straight out of Hialeah. I'm your host, Bobby Melendez, joined always by my brother, Alex Atiachisca. And we are joined by a special guest, Zach Krantz of WQAM and Krantz's Corner. Zach, how you doing, sir?
First off, I want to say this. The introduction for this podcast is one of the greatest I've ever seen. I need the file of Sweet Home Hialeah sent to me immediately, MP3. I feel like it's the only way you could drive on the Palmetto and the Shula in Miami at this point. If you're not from down here, you don't understand. I'm sorry I don't have Cafecito in front of me right now. I'm sorry I don't have my Caneswear shirt on. I should at this point right now because Caneswear is a big friend of mine as well. But that intro music was A+, A1, whatever you want to call it, and I'm excited to be here, boys. You did it. Whatever you just did, I'm ready to go now. I'm amped up after that intro music. Let's do it. Wherever you want to go now, I'm ready.
There you go, man. Yes, we love it. We love Hialeah. Grew up there. I wanted to ask you that. What part of South Florida are you from?
I was born and raised in Plantation. Okay. Grew up in like Davie. I went to all the Nova High School, Nova Middle School, Nova Blanche Foreman. I did all that stuff here in Davie. Met my wife in Miami because we were both in radio business together. Okay, but we're both from Cooper City, Davie. We live now here in Davie, all out by the Crowders of the world, the Joe Roses of the world, the Joe Zagakis of the world. Everyone who lives out here in this little area here. And born and raised basically. I left for a couple years to go to, I'll say this and then I'll move my head real quickly so I don't catch any shrapnel. I went to the University of Florida.
Oh man!
And then I came back. Look, listen, that's why I let the shrapnel go right past me. I didn't catch any strays there. And came home and basically worked for QAM, and that's it. So I'm a Miami kid. I'm a South Florida kid. I want to say Miami kid because that's stealing a little bit away from you guys, but I'm a South Florida kid, born and bred, and love every second.
Man, and that's why I said when I was watching you on 305 Sports Now with Will, and I'll tell everybody who's watching, wherever you're watching, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, we appreciate everyone tuning in right now, the East 10th Street Boys. But if you haven't yet, go check out 305 Sports Now with Will. Great content, Miami Hurricanes content, everything. Miami sports as well. And he had Zach on, and I was listening to you and hearing what you were saying, and I was like, damn, I got to get him on. I go, because and it also too, just biasly just saying, man, I know Alex, myself, college, I was listening to you on 560 WQAM with Joe Rose for years.
Right.
And you guys just put out killer content, and I just love your commentary. So it was like, I was like, I want to ask, and it doesn't hurt to ask. And when you were like, let's go, I was like, holy crap. I was like, that's awesome. So I'm very thankful for you taking the time to come on, man.
Got to take the chance and ask. What's the worst you get? A no.
I know.
That's right.
Hey, I can't do it, or nah, that's not, and the worst you could get, and actually the best and worst answer you can get is when someone thinks they're just too big for somebody's podcast. No, I don't have time for that. Bullshit. Like you got time, and it's not a big deal. And this, and especially for any of my local friends, and I consider everyone who does these podcasts down here, especially in Dade and Broward County, local people in the business. So we're all part of the business. I did 22 years and still going on radio. And to be honest with you, some of my favorite parts now are doing the podcasting stuff and outside of it. I used to fight with the podcasters. Oh, you guys I'm a radio guy. You're a podcaster guy. Now I'm right here in the realm now. I'm right here with you guys. Let's all fight together. But when someone's doing something cool local and they got all kinds of local stuff around them, I'm all for it. I'm a big local person.
I love that, man. I love that. Alex, man, I didn't say hi. How are you? Because I don't care. But how are you doing, bro?
I love you too, buddy. I love you too. I'm the third wheel. I'm the breaking line right here.
Alex, welcome. We're excited to have you here today. Well, that's it. That's right.
I wasn't on standstill. No, but it's good, man. It's a little humid outside like it always is. So I'm sitting on a nice little puddle myself. But enjoying the time.
All right.
That's right.
Ready to go?
Alex is live in Doral, so if you hear some
Yes.
of the airplanes flying over, that's what's going on there.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
But oh man, so much to talk about. We're going to talk about everything and anything. That's what we do on this show. We do talk sports because Zach, again, Alex and I grew up together in Hialeah. We met when we were 5 and 6 years old.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was 5, you were 4.
So we've been friends for 30 plus years, but we spent a lot of time obviously playing ball, talking sports, sitting on the front porch, talking sports. And so, but what we usually do is be late at night talking Dolphins, of course, Ricky, Jay Fiedler and whatnot, the Miami Heat, Lamar Odom, etc. And then we talk life, dude. We just shoot the shit and talk life and have fun. So this is what the show's about. So that's what this ride is. And again, when I heard you talking and get into the whole Star Wars and Star Trek stuff, I was like, oh my God, these would have fit right into this. So we'll get it rolling. We're going to start off with the jersey that you're wearing, the Miami Dolphins. It's right around the corner, man. I'm so damn excited. I always am. I don't care what the roster looks like. I'm always excited for the Dolphins season. But this year, I guess, more than anything, especially after this is the year 3 under Coach McDaniel, 2 years straight in the playoffs. Of course, we lost both games in a row. Alex and I have spoken about, obviously live on air, and I'm sure you have too on your other shows, but, about how we feel about this upcoming season, all that. But how are you feeling about the Miami Dolphins' chances this season under Mike McDaniel in year 3?
I think last year and last year's roster, if you really look at it in a nutshell, top to bottom was probably the best roster this franchise has had in probably 20 years, maybe longer than that. And that's no offense to the JT, Zach defenses or Marino, Duper, Clayton offenses. We're talking about both sides of the ball, including special teams. And last year's roster was loaded. It really was. If you really look down the line, offensive line, defensive line, and you could tell in free agency when people come in here and take everyone away from us because you had those good of a players, you can't pay them all. This year's roster is going to be, I think, sneaky good. And I don't mean sneaky good like, oh, they're just going to roll up on people. They don't know who's coming. No, their offense, everyone knows about their offense. Everyone around, every defensive coordinator's nightmare, I don't care who's talking and whose team it is knowing that you got 6 days to plan for the Miami Dolphins and this crazy-ass offense that Mike McDaniel's put together. The defense is the question mark to me. They lost a lot of guys on the defensive line. I love the Calais Campbell signing. I hope he comes down here and has another resurrection year. I'm not expecting 3 or 4 years out of this guy. He gives us 1, maybe 2. That's more than you should get out. You're squeezing all the juice out of that orange. And you know what? If he's got a little bit left, I'll take it. Unfortunately, we're pretty fresh off the Shaq Barrett news of him retiring, which stinks because I thought him and Chop Robinson would be pretty good for the first couple of weeks until Jalen Phillips came back and eventually Bradley Chubb came back, and they'd be okay. They're going to have to do what they have to do without that, and we'll see. They'll probably add a guy. But defensively, Anthony Weaver, to me, the new defensive coordinator, comes from a very weird, defensive strategies. And I mean weird in a good way, because he's all over the place. You saw what he did with Kyle Hamilton, the safety, and made him into like the ultimate chess piece. Could that be what Javon Holland's role is or Jalen Ramsey's role is here? I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Holland just be let loose and see. So defensively, the question mark to me is how are they going to look 4 or 5 weeks into the season, because they have to win early. This Dolphins team can't start the season 2-3. They can't start the season 1-4. I think they have to go 4-1, 3-2 at minimum. If not 5-0, that'd be fantastic in their first 5 games. They just have to, because they have to. At the end of the season, we know what to kind of expect, and we hope there's a change this year with everything. Offensively, I can't wait to see what adding a couple more pieces is going to be like. Offensive line-wise, you got a little worse, and that's fine. But not necessarily in this offense do you need 5. You don't need that Detroit offensive line. You'd love to have that Detroit offensive line down here, or that Philly offensive line, or one of the top flight offensive lines to have it for your quarterback. I get that. Tua throws quick passes. He gets the ball out of his hands pretty quickly. He gets the ball to those playmakers. If that's the role of him on this team, and we've seen it the last 2 years that that's basically what it is, this offense is going to be as good as advertised, and the defense, if they can catch up quickly to Anthony Weaver and the whole style, this team's a playoff team. Can they win in the playoffs? I don't know. I would say yes, but I mean, I've been wrong for 25 years. So, or we haven't either been there or we've lost a couple of them there. I thought the Adam Gase year, we're 100% going to make a run. Look at that. Tannehill gets hurt. Matt Moore's in the playoffs. So I'm a little snake bitten when it comes to saying this team's a Super Bowl team or a deep playoff team. I hope. But my prediction is get to the playoffs, prove me wrong, win a couple games, and let's have ourselves a season here, folks.
That's great, man. It's true, too. And it's like I always say, and Alex and I have talked about this, it's always what have you done for me lately? Right. It's Eddie Murphy, whatever comedy stand-up that
Eddie.
Yeah.
Eddie. Oh, I've seen that also, right?
Yeah. What have you done for me lately? And obviously, again, even these last 2 years, I mean, you see the talent of this team, the talent of this offense, the talent of this young coach, despite what Finn Stanza would say, but the talent of this coach. But again, as the past 20 plus years, as you've alluded to, we have not gone over that hump of winning at least one playoff game. But when you have the talent of this offense and the talent of this defense, even though we lost some good players, I still feel the talent of this defense is going to surprise some people this season, and especially with Anthony Weaver as our DC, who looks like he's excited. I mean, you can see it on the players' faces. Obviously, different from Fangio, and I'm not hating on Fangio. We don't know what the true story is. We know what the players are saying. We know what he's saying. We'll see. Obviously, with Cam Smith, but obviously, for the Dolphins to start off, like you said, hot to start the season, which would be great. And again, we would love to see that final stretch be better, right? Because the last 2 seasons, they've fallen off a cliff after 8-3. But to start off hot and to even have a chance at the playoffs, you've got to have your franchise quarterback there in Tua Tagovailoa. And obviously right now, Tua is in the middle of a tough contract negotiations with the Dolphins. At first, it looked like, hey, they're going to get a deal done pretty quick. My assertion or my guess was they're going to get this done before the season, and I still feel they will. But when you say, when Tua says the market is the market, and then we know the market is Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence, and then you hear the reports that they don't feel comfortable paying him in that ballpark, it starts to go, my thought is, will he, if you don't sign him before the season, does he actually say, you know what, I'm going to sit it out to start the year until you pay me? Now you got to risk not having. You got Mike White back there, Skylar Thompson, and if that happens, you can forget about playoffs. Right. It's just you can feel any way you want about Tua, and I know it's we've talked about it. You got the Tua-nons and the Tua haters or whatever. You can feel any which way about him. If you think he's a good, great quarterback or he's the franchise, there's no doubt that if he's not starting, you're not winning. Right. And so. What are your thoughts on the Tua situation, the contract situation? Would you be comfortable putting him in that Trevor Lawrence range? Or would you like, you know what? I've heard some people say, I'd rather wait until the end of the season, see how he does, see how the Dolphins do, and then give him the deal.
Well, I think there's a million different ways to look at it, but I look at it like this. Okay, we're not going to pay him, or if that's the case, you want him to wait. Do you have a backup plan just in case? Because you waited a long time to get a franchise quarterback. You drafted him 5th overall. He sat behind Ryan Fitzpatrick with the Brian Flores kind of cloud over him for 2 years. And let me tell you something. A lot of people don't like him. I love Brian Flores. I did. And maybe he wasn't the right coach for Tua and maybe this team.
Correct.
But I think he's going to end up being another head coach down the line. Again, he's going to be a good coach. I just like his style.
Yeah, I'm with you.
A military style kind of works a little bit in the NFL. Not for everybody, because we went from the complete opposite to Mike McDaniel, and it seems to be working pretty good here as well. So the benefit of the doubt goes to both guys. But for Tua's situation, you asked him to be durable. He played 17 games. For the last 2 seasons through like week 8, he was number 1 or number 2 in the MVP race. I know that we have a little bit of that Denver game kind of inflated stat. You can't fault him for that. He threw the passes, they scored the touchdown. So you're not going to take it away or put an asterisk by it because you scored 70 in a blowout. No, you scored 70. That's what happens in a game. Will Chamberlain scored 100 in a game. You're not going to get the stat sheet at 50 and say, he had 50 plus. No, he had 100 in the game. The Dolphins scored 70. Tua threw 5 touchdowns or whatever it was. You got to deal with it. I just want to know what the plan B is in the head. Now, it'll never come out because that's not it. But I'd love to sit with Stephen Ross, with Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel and say, okay, if the plan is to not pay him the money that he is kind of in the market for, and we're going to make him play on the 5th-year option, and we're going to see what happens after the season. Because remember, they still have him locked in for 2 more years after that if they want with franchise tags, and they could keep him here. But if he's not on the same page and you're franchising an angry person, why would you even want him around at that point for that reason? You don't want a pissed off quarterback walking in the locker room. You want someone that's leading the team, that's the number 1 voice in that locker room. And Tua, he could be that guy. I just want to know what plan B is if you don't, because if you don't have a plan B set or something in ready to rock and roll, you can't win in this league without a quarterback. And Tua has proven that they can win games, not maybe at the end of the season and maybe not in the playoffs, but you hope that changes this season. So if they're waiting to see what happens at the end of this year, it's risky because your franchise quarterback could be pissed. You could have him here for 2 more years at whatever gargantuan amount the franchise tag would be for 2 more years, guaranteed. And that's plenty fine. But isn't that like signing him to a 3-year deal anyway? And if you're going to do that, then why not just give him a 4-year deal? And you're going to have to give him a ton of money anyway. I think you make the locker room happier. Obviously, Tyreek has come out and said stuff. Teron Armstead has come out and said stuff. Guy deserves to be paid. We should pay the guy. He hasn't proven to me that he's not a franchise quarterback yet. I know you got to win playoff games to win a Super Bowl to be the elite of the elite. Joe Burrow got us team to a Super Bowl. He's elite. Well, Joe Burrow's had 2 straight years of getting injured. He's 1 injury away from the Bengals drafting another quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round as a backup option just in case. There are plenty of guys around the league that don't deserve the money they're getting, including these quarterbacks. But guess what? It's the same thing Tua said. I'll say it again. The market is the market. You think Tua is the guy, pay the guy, get this over with. The last thing we want is camp to open up in a couple days, and the first questions to Tua or Chris Greer or Tyreek or Teron Armstead or anyone on that offense, including Tua, is, have you spoke to Tua? Is there anything going on in the Tua conversation with the extension? That will go on every single day, and the reporters have to ask that question every single day until something happens. Easier way to take care of this. You want to know what you want to pay him. You want to know what he wants. Find somewhere in the middle, get it done, smiley faces to open training camp, and let's just get this, because this window is not 5 years open.
No.
This window is another year, maybe 2 open with Tyreek before he slows down a little bit, which is impossible to even say. Jalen Waddle still being the guy he is. Jalen Phillips had a big injury. So, these things happen, and that's the NFL. Not everyone's going to be perfect and be healthy forever. So while they're kind of getting ready and Phillips and Chubb are coming back, you have a window this year to maybe make a big run deep into the playoffs, just pay the guy. It's not my money. I don't care. So pay the guy and give him all his bonus money he wants. But at this point, if it's going to be close to Trevor Lawrence or right below Jared Goff or somewhere in that range, you're not overpaying the guy. You're giving the guy what he's worth. Pay the guy, get the season going, and let's shut up about it.
Yeah, I'm going to say something, and Alex, you could hop on in. With your point, I'll just say I said it a couple days ago on Twitter, and I've said it on a couple shows before. Again, in a perfect world, I know some people saying, "Oh, wait till the end of the season," blah 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 blah. Look, yes, in a perfect world, we would say, let's wait until the end of the year, and then we'll pay you. Let's see if you can win a game. Let's see if you could last another season. Blah blah blah. But this is not a perfect world. Again, you could risk him not playing, and then you got Mike White. I truly, I think the Dolphins thought they were going to get this deal done. I think they were confident they were going to get the deal. That's why they didn't go get another backup. They're like, hey, you know what? We got Tua. He's about, and then again, they maybe, I don't know what happened behind the scenes. Obviously, that all of a sudden now they're like, okay, we're not too comfortable going that high with you. And now it's unsure because again, another perfect world situation, as you were saying, in the 4th, 5th round, possibly you draft another guy, or like what most of the teams did around the league. Jacksonville did it. They traded for Mac Jones, even though they got Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
They got a legitimate backup that if you weren't sure you were going to have this guy, you would have a legitimate guy that you could feel confident at least, hey, this guy could probably win you 2-3 games until we figure out the situation with Tua. Miami didn't do that. So Miami's kind of backed itself into a corner. And again, to those who don't believe Tua's the guy or, he should be in that range, signing him to that extension does not guarantee he's going to be here for 10 plus seasons.
Right.
Look what happened with Ryan Tannehill. They gave him that big deal, and then we traded him to Tennessee 3 or 2 seasons later.
Right.
So do what's best for business now, and what's best for business is signing to that extension, making him happy, getting him on the field, and hoping for the best throughout the season. What are your thoughts, Alex?
Well, the thing is, everything that you guys hit on was perfect. And to me, the more I see it and the more I see how long it's taken, number one, the Dolphins know they're going to sign him to an extension. They just have to come to agree to the terms. And to me, the looks of it is mostly the language on the contract. Because I think Greer and Ross are understanding of the market. They know they have to pay X amount for Tua. So it might be the legalities, the actual language of the guarantees, the injuries, the insurance for the team, et cetera, et cetera. Because this team is tailor-made for Tua. So all of their all-season moves, the way, obviously, McDaniel's backing, the way the pieces you had on offense, Juno Smith, another running back, Jalen Wright. So you have everything tailor-made for Tua that goes to show, like, okay, it's just a matter of formality. Remember when we talked about it, Bob, in the beginning of the summer? I'm like, this is just a formality. It's just the time frame of when it's going to get done. It's going to be done before the season, in my opinion. There's no way you go into the season with Tua not signed a long-term extension with Sack. You said it's exactly the same. You're basically the Heat are kind of in the situation with Jimmy, if they want to give him an extension or not, and they are going to play out the year because Jimmy's 35 years old. That's a whole different ballgame. This is your franchise quarterback. This is your franchise quarterback. Either way, you can have him under contract for 3 more years, get the extension done for 4 or 5 years, and it's basically a 1 year extra, what you're already going to do. So it's within your window, like you mentioned, of 1 or 2 years, where you maximize what you have. Right. You do have a contingency plan in the aspect of your weapons, because that's why you drafted Wright. That's why you drafted a chain. So there's a plan there for you to continue to grow and develop under Tua, under McDaniel. Right. But now it comes, like you mentioned, into optics. Like, to me, I can't have Jordan Love in Green Bay sign an extension before Tua. That's me. Because now the market's going to reset again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it.
So
you said it right. You said it perfectly. The next quarterback to sign is going to be more than the last one.
Yes.
And then the next one after that's going to be more than the last one. So all of a sudden, you got Jordan Love, you got Dak Prescott, you got Brock Purdy coming up next season.
Yes.
All these guys are going to be up for massive, massive extensions. The longer you wait with Tua, the more guaranteed dollars you got to throw out there.
Correct.
And then it'll come. And then the best part's going to be, and this is the funny part, the Josh Allens of the world, the Patrick Mahomes of the world, once all these other guys sign their deals,
restructured deals,
deals are going to be restructured and redone. Patrick Mahomes is not going to play his career off that 10-year, $450 million deal. As crazy as it sounded when he did sign it, it was like, wow, like that's a huge 10-year deal. 3 years into it, 4 years into it, he's going to sign another 5-year extension on top of it for $65 million a year, with another big bonus coming his way of another $180 million to $200 guaranteed. The longer the Dolphins, isn't this funny? This is the same conversation we had about Christian Wilkins, same conversation we had about Lamar Miller, Olivier Vernon. We could go back 10, 15 years. They wait too long to pay these guys sometimes, and it bites them in the ass. Christian Wilkins, Andrew Van Ginkel in the offseason, all these guys, if you would have just offered them a little bit less than they got, but offered it to him maybe a year earlier, you'd have that entire team front locked in on the defensive line. Yeah, you might not be able to pay this guy or pay that guy in a year or two, but imagine if the Dolphins coming into the season were waiting for Phillips and Chubb to be healthy, but also had Wilkins and Sealer still in the middle, Van Ginkel on one side, like Shaq, if Shaq Barrett retired, but You drafted Chop Robinson. Like you'd have 6-7 guys on the defensive line locked up young under 30 for the next 5 years. The Dolphins somehow, some way messed that up. And they've messed it up with a couple different positions. They didn't mess it up with Waddle. Waddle, the wide receiver started getting paid. They paid Waddle. And guess who's next on this list after Tua that's going to have to get a monster deal that's on the first-round pick? It's not even Waddle. It's Javon Holland.
Yep.
Javon Holland is going to have to get a big deal unless you think you could find another guy to play that position, which fantastic. Javon Holland's like a Pro Bowler at this point, so it's scary to say that. But it's like the Dolphins fall asleep at the last minute, right before you can get the deal done to make sure you get a cap-friendly deal, a team-friendly deal, and the player gets happy. But they miss it by a minute, and then they have to go into the next minute after that, and that's when someone else gets paid. And now all of a sudden we could get away with giving this guy 4 years at $17 million a year. Now it's 4 years, $22 million a year with $88 million. This is the Christian Wilkins thing. The Christian Wilkins deal could have been signed, and I know he said no to it also, but that deal should have been signed over a year ago with Christian Wilkins with bonus money, and he would be here for the next 4 or 5 years, healthy, happy, the whole deal. Instead, you waited. And what's happening with Tua is you're waiting. And the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost in bonus money and guaranteed money and this and that. And this guy got this in the market thing. I want this also. It's going to end up happening that way. I think you just sign the guy, you call it a day, and you move on because Tyreek's going to want another deal. Every one of these guys is going to want a new deal. Get your quarterback locked in because if Skyler or Mike are the quarterback for more than one game this year because of injury, or because of somebody sitting out or not playing, ladies and gentlemen, the season is over. Let's wait till 2025, 26 to see it again because you're not going to win more than 3 or 4 games with those guys at quarterback.
No, and I love when you brought up Christian Wilkins because I was thinking about it. It's very similar to that situation because it seems like with the Christian Wilkins situation, it seems like Miami had a cap. Like, they have the NFL cap and then they got their own cap where they're like, hey, we love you, but we're not going over this number. This is where we are at. You are free. If you're not going to take it, you're free to go explore other options. See if you could get more than that, and then go get it. If not, you come back. This is waiting for you.
Which I respect also when you mention that. I respect that because it shows a GM what we talked about is like it shows you that the GM has the plan in place, and I'm not going to exceed that plan because I can replace it. But like you mentioned, you can't replace Tua right now. There's no option. You can't replace Tua. Like, you have to get him signed.
Well, that's the point, right? Like, if Miami would have gone out and traded for a Sam Howell or Kenny Pickett or, you throw any of these names, and I'm not saying to replace Tua, even, but a guy that sits behind him, then this is a different conversation. We go, okay, if Tua holds they're holding for, because it is a smart move to say, hey, I know what the league is doing, but this is all we're going to do. Okay, but then you got somebody behind Tua, we're like, okay, we could do that for 4 or 5 weeks. We could survive that. With Miami's current thing, Mike White or Skyler. I don't know. Maybe Skyler turns a corner and he gets better or whatever. We don't know. Mike White, we know what we have.
Right.
None of those guys are going to do what Tua does.
I just think. You look at the roster. Would you want? Forget about doing a podcast. The three of us are just sitting around getting ready for a Dolphins game, and we're getting there. We're excited. The Dolphins season is starting. Tua is holding out. Mike White is starting. You're going to Game 1 at Hard Rock Stadium. You're not going there with the biggest smile you got on. You're going there with, oh man, Jesus, I hope we could keep this together for a little while before maybe they sign Tua. Then you're 0-2. Then maybe you're 1-3. Maybe you're 2-5 at that point. Season's over. And once again, as I did for a long time down here doing sports radio with Joe Rose, we're in November or late October talking about the top 10 prospects in the draft. I don't want to do that. I'm done with those days. Let's talk about hosting a home game. Let's talk about, can we beat the Chiefs in KC in the AFC Championship game if we get there? The Bills, let's take care of them. Like, that's where I want to be. I want to be there as a franchise because for years growing up, and you guys know this, growing up here in South Florida, when it was the Dan Marino days, it was never, man, I hope we make the playoffs this year. It was, I hope we could host the AFC Championship game in Miami. That would be a lot of fun because Buffalo got us last year or the Chargers got us, and we're going to get them back this year in the championship game. For 25 years, we've been talking about winning a damn wild card game. Yep. Like, that's sad. And now we're the leaders. Now that Detroit's won a couple playoff games, we're that team that everyone's making fun of that hasn't won a playoff game in 2+ decades. Let's get over that hump right now this season. Let's get out of that category, please.
Yeah, for the love of God.
Right. For the love of God, please. Wild card, divisional game, whatever it is, just get us a
That's why I
playoff
say,
win.
I was like, I don't care what
I'm
the
going
record
first round
look.
bye. I'm going first round bye.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Get me right to the divisional game
Yep.
here at Hard Rock Stadium.
Yep,
Bring on the Steelers or the Bengals or the Chargers or the Bills again. I don't care who it's not going to be KC because they'll probably be the 2 seed, so we're not going to play them. But anyone else, I'm in. Let's get it. Like, how much fun would that be? We just talked about it, and you saw me on the podcast last week talking about how excited I was about the Panthers and the Panthers winning the Stanley Cup. And I said this, and I've said this for years. Can you imagine what a damn Miami Dolphins celebration parade would be? And people laugh because I'm not even joking. I think it would be from Orlando to Cuba.
Yeah,
I think that's how long the parade would be. We'd have to be on boats circling the island. We'd have to because they deserve it.
Be. What street are we going down if the Dolphins win the Super Bowl?
The original street? I mean,
what was your original street?
I mean, if you're talking Dade County, we got to go down 8th Street. We have to go down. We have to somehow get there. We have to go down 8th Street somehow to get it.
We shut down the whole Palmetto. Let's just shut down the whole Palmetto.
The Palmetto, the Shula, and the Turnpike would all be shut down in a circle, so we could just circle the whole thing. You'd have fans on the Turnpike,
so
like
hanging from the signs.
No, it's so true.
I'd be okay with that for one day. Let's do martial law that day. The Coast Guard, we need to bring in to just be to circle us to make sure nothing happens outside of our circle of our parade.
Yeah,
because it would be the greatest sports moment in my life.
Yes,
if the Dolphins won the Super Bowl, and I said the same thing in 2006 when the Heat won. When the Heat won on June 20th, 2006, I'll still remember that date. It was the single greatest sports moment of my life. I'm a huge Heat fan. They won I couldn't believe they won the NBA championship. I can't believe Shaq is here. We have this kid named Dwayne Wade. He might be a really good player. Like, this team is good. Gary Payton's on this. Like, this team is awesome. And then it's like, man, what would this feel like if the Dolphins can win a Super Bowl and we get to do this celebration? I mean, the Panthers are still celebrating. They won the Stanley Cup title 3 weeks ago. They're still celebrating. What's that going to be like for us as Dolphin fans when I'm walking up and down the street for like 3 days, not working, not podcasting, just with the Dolphins flag and my Cam Wake jersey, being excited as I've ever been for a sports win. So let's just get there, please, if we can.
It's so true. And with the Florida Panthers, we were just talking about it. You just expressed how much it meant to you. And I remember I was watching it with my son here, and he got really into hockey watching it with me, my 7-year-old. And he's standing on my bed, and I'm standing in front of my TV, and he's on my shoulders. And it's those final seconds. And I've never cared so much about hockey until that, dude, I'm like, oh my God. And they're holding it. I'm like, we're going to do it. And we won, and it was so cool. And my son goes, Dad, are you going to cry? That's what he told me. And I go, and I'm going, oh, yeah, because that's never happened. I've seen the Heat win. I've seen the Heat win 3 championships. I've seen the Marlins win 2. Now I've seen the Panthers. We know the Dolphins have won, but I've never seen a Dolphins Super Bowl. And
we're still celebrating 72. We're still
I know. We're still.
Here's a trivia question for you until we make it. The backup tight end in the last Super Bowl the Dolphins played in was Joe Rose.
Yeah.
That was the backup tight end. Like, he was the number 2 guy on that. I think Bruce Hardy was right. 84. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was he played in the last Super Bowl. And I always used to say that to him. Like, are we ever going to get past that point? Am I ever going to have one where I could show my kid and sit with a kid on the couch and watch the Super Bowl with my Dolphin or pay an egregious, I hope my wife's not listening, an egregious amount of money to go sit in that stadium and watch the Dolphins in that Super Bowl. Although I'd be too nervous. I'm going to be honest. If the Dolphins were in the Super Bowl this year, I don't know what the Super Bowl is. If they were in the Super Bowl this year versus any team in the NFC, I couldn't go to the game.
No,
I couldn't. I'd be too nervous. And so if they won, of course, it'd be great. If they lost, I would be like in a shell for like 24 hours where like no one could talk to me. I would be that upset. Yeah. But man, oh man, if that day ever does come in my lifetime, I can't wait to celebrate.
It will, Zach. It will. In the next year, it's gonna come. It's gonna come, man.
Well, I told my son. I did tell him, and because he was like, "Are you gonna cry?" I said, no, I'm not gonna cry. We did a whole pots and pans where I was at and all this. We had a blast. But I told him, I said, I know for sure that I will cry when the Dolphins win a Super Bowl.
100%.
It means that much more.
Well, Bobby and Zach, I don't know if you feel this way. Me and Bobby always talked about this, where we grew up as South Florida became more of a sports town. Before Florida was always a football town. Yeah. Now, to me, Dolphins winning a Super Bowl is the generational celebration, because it's really the only team that we have that maybe our fathers went to the game, our grandfathers went to the game, because other sports towns have that in Philadelphia, New York, but right here in Miami, like now we can pass on to our kids the generation with the Heat, the Panthers, because we were the first generation that saw it when they started playing, when they became successful, all the pains that you go through. So just to me, the city itself, it will be a sigh of relief also, but it's like, holy shit. And then it's funny because after you're done celebrating, you're like, okay, now we got to do it again. Now we want to do it again. now it's a whole different ball game. Like you got the big monkey out of your head. So it's the epitome of where now you feel, and you hit on this, because we've always had either decent offensive teams, stellar defensive teams, good offensive teams, then bad like we've never had a complete package. And I do think that the experience, Mike McDaniel being who he is, he you can see he went into this offseason dissecting where did we go wrong in December? Where's the fallout? And I'm not going to use the Heat excuses. I mean, it's not an excuse, but the injury bug, Miami was severely injured as they went into the playoffs. It's not an excuse, but it's true. You can't deny that. So you just hope to have the maintenance, the development in the offseason, but also Mike McDaniel dissecting how to attack, not only with the weapons you have. And realistically, Weaver, to me, I'm more excited about this defense than I was last year. I do believe Fangio boxed people in the regards with his inability to adapt at a certain moment, because he's a great defensive mind. I'm not going to take that away from him. But as a coach, you analyze the talent that you have on your roster, and you use that talent to the best of that talent's ability within your scheme. And I do feel that Weaver, with the young guys coming in, which the Shaq Barrett, it's a surprise with the retirement. I do feel that it will give more playing time, obviously, to Calais, to Chop, to Kamara, middle linebacker. So that might be a plus. Even with Phillips and Chubbs coming back, we have seasoned rookies in regards to the midseason. So I'm just excited, man. I can't wait for this camp to start.
Me either, and I'm with you on that, because and I want to give a little. We have given respect, but I want to give a little more respect to Vic Fangio. That defense was top 10 all year long.
Yes.
I know he didn't get along with the players, but either did my high school football coach. We hated him, he hated us, but we had a pretty good defense. So you got to give him credit where the credit is there. But I look at this whole thing and just say, whatever else Weaver could do with these guys to get the best out of them and move them around, I'm fine with that. But Vic Fangio last year, I mean, if they didn't get hurt at the end of the season, if Phillips didn't get hurt, Chubb didn't get hurt, Van Ginkel didn't get hurt, and those guys were all not fully healthy, because no one's fully healthy at the end of the season, but
of course,
let's say they were at 80%, 75%,
relatively healthy. Yeah,
I think you have a realistic to maybe even very good chance to go to KC and win that game. Not saying KC at this point was the world-beating, beat every team 80-0. You know, they weren't. And the Dolphins weren't this world-beating team either. But I think that the way that offense could hit on certain times, and if that Dolphins could have, and that defense, the Dolphins defense, could have just put a little bit more pressure on that KC offense, I think it would have been a different game. Maybe they don't win that game, but maybe it's a lot closer. Maybe it's a little bit different. Maybe you don't feel like the game's over in the second quarter. It just sucks. It sucks that you had a season like you did. You were 9-3 at one point. You were going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. That's where I need Mike. And you said it before. I need Mike McDaniel to start off his preparation for this season at 9-3 last year. What went wrong at that point? Outside of injuries, where did we go wrong offensively, defensively, special teams? And let's fix it from there. Because through 12 games, you might have been the best team in the NFL, not just the AFC. You might have been the best team in the NFL through 12 games. At that point, where did the shit hit the fan? How do we fix it? Where do we go from there? Obviously, injuries are one thing. We'll put them over here in this point. What else? Because other things happen. Play calling, defensive play calling.
Schematics,
Schematic, everything.
Absolutely.
Where did it go wrong? How can we fix it
It's
from
2
there?
years
And
in
if
a row.
we can, that's it. 8-3, 9-3. At 2 points in the last 2 seasons.
Right there. Yep.
So where do we fix it from there? At that point where the drop-off was, how do we fix it? So if they could do that, that's one thing. But this team is loaded again on offense, and maybe they'll be loaded again on defense, and we don't know it because they did pick up some guys and we don't know better. Let's go from there and let's see what happens. This team is no schleppy team. This is a top 5 team in the AFC if they're healthy. Let's get the season going already. I'm excited.
100%. let's go to another Miami sports team. We all talked about it. There are generations team, which is the Miami Heat, was started in 1988. And right now their summer league is looking really damn good. Their rookies are looking really damn good. But Heat Nation is a little antsy about what the front office is doing. Every year they're tagging us on the next big thing. Who's the next big free agent? Is it KD? Is it Damian Lillard? It's Donovan Mitchell. And everybody puts all these different trade scenarios, and they're so sure it's going to happen. It doesn't happen. Pat Riley keeps catching that flack. Everybody's saying, hey, he's sleeping at the wheel. Maybe he should step down. So I know Alex's point of view. Alex knows mine, Zach, but I haven't heard from you, sir. What is your mindset on the current Miami Heat? Where's your thoughts on Pat Riley? Should he step down? Is he not doing enough?
I think Pat Riley steps down when he wants to step down. I think that he's earned the respect. And and everyone in Miami and a Heat fan and all Heat fans around the world should understand that until Pat Riley falls off the chair and doesn't want to do it anymore, I believe in Pat Riley. I know he's had some off seasons, and we could go to the Hassan Whiteside off season with Deion Waiters and James Johnson. That was his worst off season he's ever had as in charge of the Heat, and we get it. He was desperate because there was nothing else he could do, and if he let Hassan Whiteside leave for nothing, and Hassan had a decent season in Dallas or wherever he would have went, we would have been ripping Pat Riley for that. So he was under the impression that Hassan Whiteside wouldn't turn into a complete lunatic 6 months after you signed him, but he turned into a complete lunatic 6 months after you signed him. No one thought that Deion Waiters was going to overdose on gummies on a plane, but he did. James Johnson actually was not a terrible signing at the time because he's kind of a utility guy, and that was okay. But the other two were so bad that it made James Johnson look bad. This Heat team has done something in the last couple of years that I think is pretty incredible by making runs to the finals with just Jimmy Butler as your star. An emerging Bam Adebayo, who's now a superstar in this league. Tyler Hero, to me, is still kind of the up and down guy. It's like 1 week I'm totally Tyler Hero is going to be the next great player, and the next week I'm like, man, if we could have put Tyler Hero in that Dame Lillard trade, why didn't we do that? What are we thinking? So I'm up and down, but I'm okay with Pat Riley sitting on that. What's the chair in Game of Thrones, like the Iron Throne?
The Iron Throne,
until somebody says you have to get. Until Nick Arison, the son, who's going to be the next in charge of this Heat franchise for the next 20 years down the line, once Mickey kind of steps down. Until Nick Arison says, "Dude, Pat Riley, your time is up. We need to move on." Pat Riley's my guy. He's proved me wrong a million times by saying we're going to run it back, and I'm like, what are we doing? And we made a finals. Yeah, Jimmy's getting older. Jimmy's going to get paid $60 million plus a year coming up here with an extension if they give it to him, because that's what's going to end up being. Yeah, I'd love for them to go out and get the next Giannis or Dame or Kevin Durant I'd love that. I'm a whale guy. If they could bring in a whale, I'm good with it. It's just not that easy anymore in the NBA to just go out and do that. That 2010-11 offseason where you signed LeBron, Bosh, and Wade, there'll never be off seasons like that ever again in the NBA because of the way the salary cap is and the thresholds and all that stuff. If they can make a move to better this team, Pat Riley's never afraid to make it no matter who it is. I trust in Pat Riley for now. I'll fall off the ledge with Pat Riley at this point until he's done, and I'll fall off with him at this, but I just trust in him in here. And I know that a lot of Heat fans are not going to be happy with that, but I just seen him just do too much and come in here in 1995 and change this entire franchise from being just a team. We're the Heat. Look at us, Ronnie Cycli. We're good. We got Glenn Rice.
Steve
Look
Smith.
at us.
Yeah.
Right. We got good players. We're going to be an 8 seed. We're going to be a 6 seed to a championship contender every single year when he made some bold moves and bold trades. I mean, one of the greatest things that ever happened to this team was Anthony Carter's agent forgetting to sign the contract and then them signing Elton Brand to the offer sheet, which we knew we weren't going to get Elton Brand, and we got Lamar Odom instead because that was the original whale that Pat Riley wanted, but he knew the only way to get there was to try to sign Elton Brand, get denied, and then the Clippers couldn't pay Lamar Odom. It was a genius move, and he did it, and that turned the entire franchise around. Drafting Caron Butler and Lamar Odom got us Shaq. We drafted Wade. He's done a million good things. There's a list of bad things I'm sure that people can make that he's done. Overall, at this point, The guy could be 95 years old in a rocking chair making moves. As long as he still wants to do it, I'm okay with it. I'm okay to take the shrapnel from this one because I'm a Pat Riley guy. But you look around my office, which you can't see right now because I'm at a plain wall. It's my Dwayne Wade autograph posters. It's my Heat Family Festival stuff. Like, without Pat Riley, I don't have any of this, so I'm okay with Pat Riley at this point.
I agree with you 100%. I've always been it's a Riley guy. Trust the process, and you're right. He's earned the right to sit there and be the guy as long as he wants. I think I try to be unbiased or try to not say stuff, but I get very annoyed. And I tell Alex off scene, and we've talked about it actually last time on air, but it's like some fans get spoiled. It's like look at the Dolphins. Yeah, look at the Dolphins. Look at the Marlins. Look how they're doing. Look what they've done the past 20 plus years or whatever, or decade. Look what the Miami Heat have done with less, and that's Pat Riley. And of course, you got to give credit to Andy Ellisberg and Simon and so forth and Spo and whatnot. But Pat Riley is that guy, and I'm with you. As long as he wants that job, he has it. Right. And you look at this, and again, not all of it's all him, but you look at it's Cap for Life. Just said it in the comments. Summer League team. You look at Keller Ware and Jaime and Jovic and these guys and what they could do. You don't know what these guys could do for the Miami Heat next season. And I always believe every year, like you were just talking about the Dolphins. Oh, what are they going to do in the playoffs? I believe every year the Heat are going to be in the playoffs. I always feel I never feel like they're going to miss. I know people are like, oh, they should tank. No. This is not a tanking team.
Can you imagine Pat Riley tanking? Honestly, folks, seriously.
He did it once. He did it once when the injuries kicked in, and it was a drop. That's it.
Right. Okay. So Dwayne Wade goes down in the 17th game of the season, at that point you were 5-12 with Dwayne Wade healthy.
Yep.
At that point,
our assistant coach Quinn was our starting point guard. Right. And we traded Shaq.
Right. I'm plenty fine at that point saying the season is over. 17 games into the season. Dwayne Wade is hurt. We have a chance to maybe get this Michael Beasley kid or Derrick Rose or someone like that. It's not tanking if you put your team out there to play and they just stink and the team just stunk. It's a different story when you go and you trade or make maneuvers to get the worst team you can, like the Dolphins did a couple years ago.
Yes.
That's a different kind of tanking or supposed tanking at that point. But at this point, can anyone honestly tell me that when he handed the reins to Eric Spoelstra, you thought that Eric Spoelstra would become the greatest coach in the NBA right now? Like the best outside of Popovich in the last decade and a half, has there been a better coach than Eric Spoelstra?
No.
And this guy it was one of us. You want to talk about one of us? He's one of us. That whole meme, one of us. Eric Spoelstra is one of us. This was the dude sitting, cutting videotape in the background with and getting the ball and passing it to Dwayne Wade so he could shoot more shots. This was this guy. This was Spoelstra. And now the guy is regarded as a top 10 NBA coach in the history of the NBA. Pat Riley saw it in him somehow, some way, and molded him into what he was. We could rip this Heat team when they have bad seasons, and the last two, by the way, have not been great. They've been in the play-in playoff, which is just terrible to be in, terrible to play. I mean, I hate it. There's nothing worse than that to me because if you lose, you're at the end of the lottery, and if you win, you're the 8th seed playing Boston in the first round. It's tough. 2 years ago it worked because you made a good run, but realistically, you want this team to be at full strength when they get to the playoffs. You want Jimmy to be playing like Jimmy. I don't care if he's 33, 36, 38 years old. If Jimmy's out there, he's going to give you 100%. Bam's turned into a superstar. I agree with you on this. I'm not really worried year in, year out about the Heat making the playoffs because I feel like they're a playoff team no matter what. They're there. And that's something special to have in a team, especially in South Florida where the Marlins stink. The last 20 years before the last 5, the Panthers stunk. The Dolphins hadn't won a playoff game in 25 years. You're right. For the last 20, 25 years, the Heat have been the most consistent thing this city has. Not even close. There's no one even close to it in any sport. Even the Miami Hurricane football team, which for years you knew every year was going to be in the national championship game, or when they play FSU, the winner of that game is going to be the team to beat at the end of the season. The Canes haven't even been there. The only thing we've had consistent sports-wise down here in South Florida for 2 decades plus is now the Miami Heat. So I'm riding with Riley wherever he wants to go, and until the wheels fall off, I'm Team Riley. PR guy or not for Pat Riley, I'm happy with what he's done, and I'm going to ride with him.
Well, and the thing is, Bob, before we move on, I just want to make a quick point. very few teams or very few executives have been able to remodel their franchise multiple times within 2 or 3 generations as the league evolves. That's very difficult to do, where you say maintain the consistency of greatness, where the epitome is, I always compare, because in coaching, and the pedestal here in South Florida was always Don Shula and Pat Riley. And I see even the evolution. I understand ownership was different, and Wayne wanted to go a different direction. He wanted to go with Jimmy Johnson. But the way Pat Riley was able to retire at the right time from coaching and ascend, I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking. I was too young back then. I don't know if Shula had anything in mind of being in the front office or being the GM, president of football operations, because I feel that Pat Riley has been able to not only model a franchise, which Shula was able to do because he was like the second coach in Dolphins history, I think like 5 or 6 years in, or like maybe like 3 or 4 years in. So there was that same pedigree. Right. But in the long term, in the end, Shula wasn't really able to leave his imprint in the franchise because it was completely overhauled in a sense. Pat Riley has been able to put his contingency plan in place, where he's still officially the president of basketball operations, but the operations in the basketball department has really diversified a little bit more with Adam Simon. Spo has a much bigger voice now. It's a team effort. Even Nick Harrison, he's officially the CEO already, so he's already there. Right. Where Mickey is the chair of the board, etc., whatever. I feel that it's a franchise that has been planned thoroughly, where after Pat Riley retires, it's still going to be run with the same fundamental principles. Right. You modernize, you go with the times, but it's just going to be like a perfectly well-oiled machine in the aspect of we're not going to lose who we are. That's our MO. We're going to be who we are. We're going to be a championship organization. We're not going to attack, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Where the Dolphins now, you feel that they're doing that now with Mike McDaniel starting off, and hopefully it goes into that direction. The Panthers are in that direction. The Panthers, with Cito, are starting there. They're taking off, and they're set, bearing injuries. They can dominate for the next 3 to 5 years. Yeah. So it's a very cool era, and I know we've talked about this. Sometimes these sports towns, we go through decades of like dominance, and then you kind of reinsert yourself a little bit. You reinvent yourself, but it feels like, obviously, when the Marlins still, we got to see what Bendix is going to do, hopefully. But we feel like we're going into that era where our professional sports is like, wow, we can compete on a high level for the next 4 to 5 years. So, like with Pat, until he might not be the ultimate decision maker as you get older, but his voice still carries the optics of who Pat Riley is, the aura of who Pat Riley is. Right. The NBA changes. You made the prime example, and I always tell us, Bobby, when we do our sports talk in basketball, the past champions, they've developed, they've grown organically. The way this NBA is shaped, you saw what Steet. Which, by the way, did you see the Intuit Dome, the Balmer, the pictures, the photos of that? That is, Bob, that's the epitome. I don't know if you've gotten able to see it. That is the epitome of basketball arenas, man. What he's done for that Clippers organization with that arena alone, the identity, the strength that comes with that, it's going to be the future of basketball arenas. But even them, they had to reshape their roster in the sense because of the second apron. It's just not. It's not formidable with championship organizations to be built that way anymore. So it's not going to happen. People are going to sign their long-term extensions. They're going to force their way out. So free agency really is non-existent. Right. The trade market is a new free agency. So it's just a changing of the guard with a new money coming in. And you feel that we're lucky enough that through the ups and downs, we have an organization in Miami with the Heat that is stable and will withstand everything and be on the front of everything as we move forward.
There you go. The 2-hour soliloquy of Alex. No, I'm just playing. You made Zach fall asleep.
I see, man. We just knocked him out, man.
He froze out,
bro. My bad, Zach. My bad, man.
We'll get him back. And
what was Cap saying? Let me see. Oh, yeah.
When Pat is ready to step down, who will replace?
I think, I mean, it was funny because we were talking about it before the show. I do think that officially it'll probably be Spoelstra as president. Either way, Adam Simon's going to get a bigger role. Andy is always going to be there. So I don't know if it might be some provisional plan. Oh, we got him back. He's back.
Alex put you to sleep, apparently.
Let me tell you something. Right in the midst of all this, I'm on my phone right now. In the midst of all this, every light in my house went out. The air went out. I'm gonna start sweating again. I think my wife did it on purpose. So I'm gonna be on this until my internet
Sabotage,
comes back
man.
up.
Oh my God.
Okay,
The marital sabotage.
I told Alex, I go, as soon right before you blacked out, I told Alex, I go, all right, there's your 2-hour soliloquy of Alex Atiachishka. Went on forever. And all of a sudden, your thing was like this. I go, holy crap, you made Zach fall asleep.
We lost him.
I was just stuck. I can only imagine what my face looked like. I was stuck like that. Yeah, everything went out in my house. It was very interesting for a couple of minutes. Yeah.
It's all good. Thank you for popping back in, brother.
No, of course. I felt horrible. What do you mean I felt horrible? Good.
No, Cap, that's not cyber attack. That's the spouse attack. They always do this. They see you having fun. They see you talking. They're like, oh, look, the internet went out.
Right.
Oops. Oh, look, lights go out.
Sorry. I accidentally unplugged that thing. What's it called? A router? Yeah, I unplugged the router. Right.
Oh, was I not supposed to do that? Was I not supposed to do it?
Oh, electrical.
Right.
Oh, off.
Right. Oops,
So let's-
power. Sorry.
Yeah,
Didn't
that's
mean to hit that. Right.
Oops. Let's loosen it up. We're in that area anyway since the power went out. Let's get off of sports. Let's do some random questions. Let's just have fun. Because we were having fun before the show.
Fun is part of the show, man. Fun is part of the
By
show.
the way, now that I'm on my phone, I could show you the
Well, there you go.
the stuff in my office. Like that's the 06 team. All signed by everyone
the
on that
family
team.
festival?
It was one of the greatest things I got.
awesome.
Right.
Wow, man.
So like this is and not just I don't just have a plain wall here. I actually have some stuff on my walls here in my office. I'm just in a bad angle. But yeah, that's
Oh, you see the wife cut out the service again.
She disconnected
I
his
lost you.
phone.
Oh, okay.
Now we got.
Unbelievable. Bring it to me. I think that people need to take a chill pill with the Heat right now for a minute, breathe, and just know that Pat Riley's not going to give Jimmy Butler $65 million a year if he doesn't think he can win with Jimmy Butler. And if you can put the right little pieces around him, not the whale, and they could do it, they're going to end up doing it. That's my Heat rant. Let's get to the fun stuff. Come on.
No, I think that's great. It's absolutely true. And that's and Pat has earned that. And that's what I love about it. And again, it's different with Jimmy and Tua. So with two different situations. Same situation, but two different reasons. But yeah, let's have fun. Let's do this. Okay. Because let's go ahead and start. These are random questions that we usually do just to make it interesting. Before the show, though, I would love to get into that because I want to know how it started. And here you go. Looks like it's working now.
I think I'm on two cameras now. Hold on.
There you go. Let's see if this works here. All right, camera's still off. Can you hear it, Zach?
I can hear you. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, but my camera's
The
not on. Of
black
course
hole.
it is. Oh my God.
We were just
By
talking
the
about
way,
black
I
holes
love
before the
this
show.
optics. I love this optics.
All right, hold on one sec, fellas. I'm
It's
gonna
all
try
good,
this.
brother. Take your time.
Stop cam, start cam. Stop cam, start cam. I don't know. Let me reply. I can hear you guys. So just give me 1 second.
This is
I'm
perfect.
gonna try
I
to-
love. I'm talking
Of
to the
course this
spirit
happens
of
a
Zach
lot.
Krantz. It's like radio. He's like doing radio right now. We can't.
That's
see
right.
him.
That's right. Oh man.
This is old school podcasting.
And you
No
know what?
image, just
this
voice.
is the perfect show to do it on because we're just laid back. It's totally cool. It's no
man.
stress whatsoever. Have fun. I appreciate Cap and Finn's and George is in the house. Man, I talked to George the other day on the phone. What a cool dude, man. George from Finn Faithful Pod.
Yeah.
I'm excited about what he is going to do with his product. To get his channel.
Oh, he's
up.
back.
I'm excited.
I'm
There
back.
he is.
Look, I'm sweating. I'm sweating again because everything happened. Everything happened. Oh my goodness gracious! Hey, you can't get me forever, wife. I told you.
That's right. I
That's
told
it.
you.
We're back.
Let
boys.
me
We're back.
be.
Yes,
Right,
look,
we're
Cap
back.
did it great. It's old Bill O'Reilly. We're doing it live. We're doing it live. It's all good. I mean, this is right here. This is what this show's all about, man. It's laid
Of
back.
course,
It's fun.
this is
That's
my
what-
life in a nutshell. You guys are
That's
like
what-
my life in a nutshell, right?
There you go, man. It's all good.
All right, and we're back. Look at this.
And
Like
we're
never
back.
ended.
And we're back. Before I get into the random questions, I want to get on this because we were talking about it before the show.
Yeah.
And obviously, you were talking about, and you talked about it with Will, but being a Star Wars, Star Trek guy, I want to know where you first started on because growing up for me, I was a Star Wars guy. I had no interest in Star Trek, none at all. I had zero interest. And I was always Star Wars. I loved all the movies. I'm it's funny now. Now you can't even enjoy a movie or anything because everybody has to hate on it. It's it's like sports. It's crazy.
Yeah, right.
It's like the Acolyte came out. I have to finish it, but that show sucks. But when I watch it, I've enjoyed it because I just
Twitter reviews.
I just enjoy it. I just want to sit back and enjoy the movie or the show. But Star Wars, I've always been a Star Wars guy. The prequels, I don't care. The sequels, loved it all. Was never into Star Trek till I was in college. And one day I saw Wrath of Khan was on TV, and I had to put on background noise, and I was cleaning or doing something, and I put Wrath of Khan. And brother, that was the first time I got hooked. And when he and all that, I was like, the music, everything. My wife hates the Khan because there was a song and I kept playing it. Khan. And that's what hooked me on Star Trek. Then I started watching all the old shows. I watched all the other movies. I did not like, obviously, part one, the original motion picture. That was
old, right? It
didn't
age well,
right? Yeah, it did not age well at all. I think I count Wrath of Khan as the original thing.
I'm all right with
so
that.
I love both of them. So I want to know how it started for you because you say you love Star Trek, you love Star Wars. Were you a Star Wars guy first or a Star Trek guy?
I think I was a Star Wars guy first, and I think my dad is the one at this point, sitting in, my dad's a big sci-fi guy, and growing up, if there was nothing really on TV to watch or whatever, he would always put on like a Star Trek episode or something like that. So I ended up watching with that. The movies, though, what got me into everything with Star Wars was, like you said, watching Jedi, watching the original one, watching any of those. I was into it because I loved it. I even watched like the shorts, like they had like the Ewoks movie that was like the short Ewoks movie. Like I was infatuated with all that stuff. By the way, growing up, E.T. used to scare the hell out of me. E.T. when I was a kid, if someone wore an E.T. costume on Halloween, I would cry. It was I don't know what was wrong with it would freak me out. The horror movies when I was a kid used to really scare the Freddy Krueger movies used to scare the hell out of me growing up. But the infatuation with sci-fi all came from my dad. Every bit of it, every ounce of it, watching the movies with him on the couch, watching the television shows, the Star Trek television shows. And remember, kids out there, anyone listening, we didn't have a DVR. We didn't have on-demand back then. I was the goddamn remote control. So when my dad wanted to go from one channel to the other, he'd hit me in the back of my head. I'd walk up. I'd change it from 4 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 10. There was no cable boxes back then. I know I'm aging myself right now, growing up in the 80s, but that's the way it was. But for some reason, sci-fi got my attention. It totally got my attention. I grew up on all that stuff, and I loved William Shatner. William Shatner was great growing up. What a fun guy to have as your leading character and all that stuff. But if I had to choose one or the other, I'd probably pick Star Wars. But I love Star Trek growing up too, and I still to this day, if there's something on Star, I even try to get into the new Star Trek movies when they had them years ago. Yeah, I got into them a little bit, not too much. But Star Wars at this point, when they come out with anything, whether it's Mandalorian or like you said, the Acolyte or any of that stuff, even the shorts for the little things for that stuff. I watch it. If they have the 6 episodes up that day, by the next morning, the 6 episodes are all done. I watch them all by myself. I don't care. My wife hates all that shit. I love it. So it works out perfect. But it's my dad. There's nothing else that I could say outside of 100% my dad's fault while I like all this stuff. And that's why I was so excited to do that one interview I did with Tyson, because I let my dad listen to it afterwards. And he was like, you mentioned me 6 times. Why did you do that? And I'm just like, Dad, you're the reason why I like stars and the sky and the moon. And that's why my son's room has got the glow in the dark stickers on the ceiling, because I want him to, when the lights go out, to see the moon and the stars and stuff like that. I think it's fascinating. And I think it's the only time in your life when you could be a kid and do all that. You could be a kid in your own head and be the sci-fi guy. And there's a limited amount of people that are in our club, but those limited amount of people, I know who you are. I can walk down the street. I know you're a Star Wars guy. I know. We get that eye contact.
Yeah,
I know.
that's right.
Point.
Yeah.
Right. I know.
May the force be with you. You too, bro.
Right.
Just keep walking.
Right.
But
right.
I love, very quick, we'll get Alex in here to because I want to know about if he's ever, because that's funny, because I don't ever remember him. I think Star Wars, but I don't ever remember him being into one or the other. He's a dork. He's a legit dork. But he's a hater. But the stars thing.
No,
You know,
I was in Star Trek, Voyager, and Enterprise. Now, I was Star Wars. I love the movies, but I used to
Right.
watch the series when I was a kid.
oh, okay. There you go. Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are good.
I
Right,
can do
there it
too.
is.
Yeah, there it is. There it
I have
is.
a hard time doing it. I have a hard time doing it. But
I
do
can't
it, right.
close this hand. I can't. That's just natural. I don't know what's the problem with this thing.
One of my hands doesn't do it right. I think because my pinky's broke or
Where-
something.
this one I
One of
can't
them.
do.
Wear
This one I
and tear,
can't do.
Bobby. Wear and tear.
Right, right.
Shut up. No, but
Right.
yeah.
Bobby,
But,
that's another podcast, my friend.
That's another podcast,
my
bro.
friend.
Chill out.
I got arthritis in my thumb, guy.
Right, right. My hands are straight. My hands are straight right now. That's it. Right, my hands are straight.
I hear you gonna say, Robert, I don't know what to do with no, not Robert. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Right.
The no, but with the stars, I think that's great that you do that. I do that when my kids as well, my son especially. I have this app on my phone that you know we go out in the backyard and you can see all the stars in the sky. And there's this app on the phone which is it could tell you where the planets are and everything. So
That's
you
awesome.
Look up and I tell them, hey, that's Mars right there. And then you put the phone up and it shows Mars, and you take the phone down and you can see that the color. You can see a little bit of
That's
a shade.
crazy,
there.
man. That's awesome.
Right.
It's the coolest thing, and
Yep.
he always says, "Dad, can I get your phone?" And he'll go outside and he goes, "Look, Dad, come out, Venus." You know, I just love that. You know,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I just took my kid to the Kennedy Space Center 2 weeks ago, and I think he's a little too young for it. My son is autistic. He's 6.5 years old. He's a little bit behind, but you could see that he kind of got some of it. He was like, he kind of enjoyed some of it. This is something I want to take when he's like 10 or 11 years old, where you can really
You
enjoy
really
it
appreciate it,
and
yes.
really appreciate it. Because I was such a dork. I was geeking out, seeing the rockets that they had there and the spaceships and the old spaceships
Love
they have.
it. Yeah.
And they take you on a tour of the whole facility.
Yes.
I totally geeked out that whole time. I thought it was great. I sat in the IMAX movie for 35 minutes and watched it. My son was so bored. My wife was so bored. I had the giant thing of popcorn, and I was,
Oh, no.
how great is this? I'm looking around. This is so
It was
great.
awesome.
My kid is like upside down in the chair playing with his bead maze. My wife's on her phone on Etsy. I don't know what she's doing. Right. But me, you couldn't get my attention off that screen learning stuff. So I love that. So, but I'm going to force my son some kids don't, some parents force their kids to like. I'm going to force my kid no matter what. He's going to love he's going to love sci-fi. He's going to love sports, whether he plays it or not. I don't care. He could be a damn artist, pianist. I don't care what he does in his life. But as long as he can sit with me on a Sunday and forcefully watch a Dolphins game, whether we suck or not, he is going to do that.
That's commitment right there.
That's it. It's going to happen. And I told my wife that. Me and my wife are perfect for each other. She hates sports. She knows nothing about sports. I am the biggest sports dork you've ever met. It is a perfect combination.
Yes.
Of someone who just doesn't give a shit when the Panthers are in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and she's vacuuming the house at 10 o'clock at night. Right. And then there's me who's pacing in a Heat jersey up and down watching a Panthers game because I can't. Oh, God. Oh, they almost hit that. Oh, I hit the rail again. So we're perfect. But hopefully my son, I don't care if he plays sports. I don't care. As long as he can sit on a Sunday and watch Red Zone Channel with me, or a Heat game on a Friday night, we could go to the arena. I'd be plenty fine with all that. And that's how I'm gonna teach my kid that stuff until my wife shows him apps to shop, and then I'm screwed at that point.
That's right. No, I'm with you, and I love that. It's funny because for me, anytime there's a Heat game, Panthers, Dolphins, all of a sudden, I'll start in a chair watching the game, and then all of a sudden I'm pacing in front of the screen, and now I'm a coach. I'm like
nice.
this. I'm going like this in front of the TV. I'm walking back and forth. I'm going, no, do this. Shoot it. Pass it to him. Do it to this.
Right.
And, it just happens. And my son now gets really into that.
I like that.
Live long and prosper, my fellow Fins fans.
There it is. I like it.
My mother right there. Mom watching. Appreciate you, Ma.
It's funny when you bring that up because I was never a big Star Wars guy. What we were talking about before. I used to love the movies. Right. I did love the Star Wars movies, but I was always gravitated to Star Trek because growing up, before I turned into basketball, I wanted to be an astronaut. So to me, outer space always fascinated me. Yeah. So I will watch Apollo 13. I watched Apollo 13 by the time I was like 11 or 12, like at least 50 times. It was nonstop. So to me, it was always the epitome of the unknown. Like there's something greater out there, and we are so minuscule in who we are, and we think we're this grand, like we don't even know the extent of Earth. We don't know the depth of our oceans, and then we don't even know lives. And So that's why the one thing I do love, and to me, I think it's the best line of all times, is "In a galaxy far, far away." Like
Right.
that right there puts you in a place where the infinite happens. Like there's infinity. Like it's not gonna stop. So I do give that the gravitational pull for Star Wars is probably way more than Star Trek, based on just that pull for you, where it's the unknown.
Yep. They're both are so interesting.
Yeah.
It's just, I love the fact that there's two different ones, and I love the Trekkies and Star Wars people get at each other. But man, I'm here for all of us to be together as one. All space dorks together.
All space dorks unite.
Let me ask you this, Zach. Obviously, big TV fan, movie fan. What is your favorite television show right now that you like to watch?
Wow. I am all over the place. I love watching the shows with my wife at night. So we're in the Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, Law and Orders, all that stuff. I love all that stuff. I'm a TV guy at night with my wife. But if it's just me watching stuff, it's the Disney series, it's the Star Wars series, it's the Marvel series, it's stuff like that. I'm a big comic book guy too, so it's all that stuff more than anything. If my wife's in the picture, it's the regular network TV shows. If it's me by myself, I like sports documentaries, and I love that sci-fi stuff, and I love the comic books.
Alex, is there something? I know you like The Judge, or
Your Honor. Which, by the way, Zach, I don't know if you've seen it.
Right.
You saw it?
I've heard of it. No, I've heard of it. Yes.
When you have a chance, watch it, man. It is absolutely unbelievable. Bryan Cranston is one of the best. So it's an amazing series.
I just want to let you know that my wife just texted, "What the hell are you guys still talking about?" That's what the text I just got from my wife.
Every day.
That's the funniest thing I've ever. That's why I keep looking down, because she texted me and she goes, "Jesus, what are you guys still talking about?" And I said, "Leave me alone." That's what I wrote back.
Don't turn off.
I just want to let you know I got a couple minutes left, but I'm in deep shit when I'm done, and I'm plenty okay with that.
Okay, there you go.
I'm watching now, Bob. Receivers. I love the.
Yes, I just started that. Just started watching that. Right.
Amazing, and they're gonna make. Remember, Bobby, when we were talking about it, they're gonna make the basketball one. I think it's gonna be called Stars. So it's Anthony Edwards, Jimmy Butler, LeBron. So I love the humanization of the sports athlete, because we only see the athlete, we only see what he tweets, the pictures, but you want to see. I mean, it's not 100% natural, but you want to see the family aspect, the home aspect, what makes that person go, and what keeps you going. So to me, I love all those in-depth documentaries. That's, as I've gotten older, that's what I've kind of turned into with my time.
Me too.
And it's crazy because at night, I really can't sit down and watch, because I have to wake up so early in the morning that if I sit down and watch this, I'll go into a 4 or 5 episode binge. And I'm like, oh shit, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I got to wake up in 2 hours. So it's like this other thing, but I'm
it's
right
dangerous.
Yeah, it's really dangerous.
It's dangerous.
It's really dangerous for my health. And even we're talking about, I want to design a little app where we can watch sporting events, and it monitors your heart rate as the sporting event goes. That would be the epitome of like, Bobby, you can't watch baseball today. Your heart rate is way too high. It's like, whoa.
So
that'd be scary for me, right?
Yeah, I think for all of us.
Yeah.
Let's do 2 easy ones, I think.
Let's
go. 2 interesting ones, okay? First one, Disney World or Universal Studios?
Ooh. Okay. Sidebar. Is my kid with
Good
me
question.
and my
Good
wife?
question. And your wife.
Let's take the kid and the wife off the table. Let's take
Universal Studios.
Okay, Universal Studios.
Universal, my kid and my wife are there. My kid now loves Disney. My wife's a big Disney person, and I grew up as a big Disney person.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick, if I was going to the park, me, 2 of my guys, we're hanging out, we're going, probably be Universal Islands of Adventure before it'd be Disney World.
Okay. For me, I love them both. I lived in Orlando for years. In college, went to Full Sail that. But I enjoyed going to Disney. Universal.
This is true.
It doesn't remind me. It is. Everything's getting expensive. But Universal, I loved it when there was Jaws, E.T.
Right. Back to the Future,
King Kong. That's the Universal I remember. So when I go now, or when I've gone the most recent time, it's not the same anymore. It's still fun. I love it because you get yourself out of the real world and you're in this fantasy, and I just love that.
Right.
But that's how I feel about Disney. I like No Magic Kingdom by heart. You take a left, you start off with Pirates, then you go to Haunted Mansion. You do all. I love that, and of course, I want to do MGM or what is it, Star Wars Park. But I'm a Disney guy. Alex, what would
Right.
you say? I know your family goes to them a lot.
Yeah, we go Disney for me, but I understand where Zach come from. Universal's more of a thrill ride for the
Yeah.
adults, the kid less. And for me, it's funny. To me, I still, out of all of those, if even with myself, I prefer a water park. So like I love. Problem is I got vertigo, so in these roller coasters, I could do the speed. I love the speed.
But
When it
you're
starts
going
spinning
up.
too much, oh man!
Right,
When it
right.
starts spinning and it's like it sucks because you love it, and I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that one. God damn
Right.
it, man. So I'll stick to my water parks and my fast slides. But between both, I'll go with Disney.
Right.
All
Let
right.
me tell you, one you could throw in there until you get your next question that I just was at with my family in the last couple of years. We like going up to Tennessee a lot. We go up to the Smoky Mountains here and there. And Dollywood, yes, Dolly
Yes, we
Parton's
went to it.
Dollywood. They just put up a roller coaster called Bear Mountain. And it's the biggest roller coaster I've ever seen with the biggest drop I have ever seen in my life. And my damn 6.5-year-old kid went on it with my wife. And they came off this roller coaster, and my kid looked like he aged 15 years when he got off that thing. And of course, because that day, probably had a little too much to eat that day, couldn't really fit on the ride the way I wanted to, so I didn't get on. But my wife and my kid came off that ride. My wife's eyes were like this for about the next 25 minutes. And my kid looked like he shit his pants and all over the place. And that kid, he was the happiest kid I've ever seen. Dollywood, another cool park to go to. Now that we're talking theme parks.
Yeah, no, I think that's
pretty
great.
cool park, right.
I currently reside in near Nashville. That's where I currently reside, and so we've been to
Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, the whole deal.
I love Gatlinburg. I went there with my wife. We didn't get to go to Dollywood, but that is something that I would like to take the family.
It's worth it. It's worth it. It's a really cool park inside. Very chill, not like craziness sometimes of Disney World.
Yeah,
it's definitely worth going. Yeah.
Zach, now that you mentioned that, because I know I mentioned to Bobby, we just came from a college tour for my daughter, and we actually went to Hershey's Park in Philadelphia. That's another one. It's super chill in regards to it has a water park inside.
Right.
It has a chocolate factory outside, and the roller coaster. I told this exact to my wife. It's like a miniature Disney World where you feel comfortable.
Right.
Rides aren't long and all that, so it's pretty cool. There's a lot of cool theme parks around the U.S. that we really don't know, which is insane, man.
I agree. They're all over the place. You don't even know about them. Right.
I will say though, yes, Universal Halloween Horror Nights. That's epic. I love that. I think it's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
So okay, here's another one. Hopefully it's easy for but Marvel or DC?
I'm gonna go Marvel over DC. I grew up. I grew up with both. I like both. I think what's ended up happening is probably more of a Marvel guy now because the movies that they put out in the last 20 years, and DC's done a really bad job of putting out what they should be putting out. If they would have hired a couple of the Marvel directors and producers, they probably could have put out some really good movies over the last 20 years. But Marvel's just been unbelievable. Yes, they had some duds. They've had a couple duds come out, and that's fine. Every movie company is going to have that. But when you look at their blockbuster movies and you look at even the one that's coming out this week, I've been looking forward to seeing Deadpool Wolverine for like a month and change now, if not more, since my brother bought the tickets. And I'm going to be honest, I'm counting down like the hours till I get to see it this week. I'm excited for it.
I think I've heard a lot of good things. I'm like you. You talked about it before. Sure. I love people go, oh, don't look into anything. Let it be a surprise. I love reading into stuff. I'm
a spoiler guy.
I'm a spoiler guy. I still get excited. I don't care. I'm still going to jump for it.
I don't care.
I don't care. I'm
not apologizing,
really
guys.
This is the start of the Marvel or the Wolverine freaking universe, whatever.
Right.
I'm excited about that for MCU. It needs that.
Me too.
But I am a DC guy. I'm Batman 100%. Grew up on that. And I hope they get good. Hopefully they do. Like you said, they hired, I'm forgetting his name now, for
yeah, that's fine. Let's do
DC.
it. There's too many good storylines in the DC.
100%.
Them not to be
Batman,
putting
Superman,
out movies like Marvel does with all these great characters.
Now's the time to do it. Time to do it.
Right now listen, you couldn't really do it during the pandemic year and change or whatever it was because no one was going to the movies. Although I did love, by the way, shout out to all the movie companies that put the movie straight up on the streaming like that day.
Yes.
Because at least, but none of them ever lasted more than 3 hours after they debuted because I already saw it. Like the minute it came out, I was watching it. Oh, it's going to debut at 3 a.m. on Wednesday. All right, 3 a.m. on Wednesday. I was up and I was watching the movie. Right, so that's my problem also.
All right. What is one thing you have done but will never do again?
One thing I have done,
but you'll never want to do again.
Wow. Ooh. I will. Wow. Holy moly. You
Got
got
a
it.
response, but it's gonna lead to my divorce. So.
Be honest, I was going to say one thing I'll do and I'll never do again. I'm never getting married again. Like, I love my wife. This is it. If something ever happens with her bad, God forbid it doesn't.
Bro. I'm good.
I love my wife. I love my family. But if anything ever happens, this is probably it for me. One and done at this point. Right. Same thing with my kid. I got one kid, one and done. We're done.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Love my wife. Love my kid to death. Would fight the Incredible Hulk for both of them.
Yes.
But I'm not doing it again.
Just them. That's it.
There you go. There you go. Alex knows mine. I will say, I got drunk one time at 19 years old. I'll never do it again. I will never do that again. And I haven't.
It was a fun time. It was a fun time.
Now we're gonna wrap this up. This is gonna be interesting. I always love asking this question because everybody does. What are your top 3 weird smells that you like?
Wow, that is an interesting question. Wow, top 3 weird smells that I like.
Weird is a very open, whatever the realm, whatever you find interesting.
Like Alex likes dog shit, so
the original scratch and sniff.
Right. Wow. To be honest with you, I know that people don't like the smell sometimes off those like crazy Sharpie markers or whatever. I kind of like that smell a little bit. I don't know why. I don't know. Not that I'm going to sit here and sniff one, but like if it was there and you kind of saw me, I go,
"Oh, you do a second sniff. You do a second sniff."
I'm going back for a second. Right?
Yeah.
Wow. Otherwise, wow, that might be the most interesting question I have ever gotten.
Random ass question, because there are weird smells that people, you don't want to admit that. For me, I mean, I've said it before. Again, it is a Sharpie. I love the smell of a Sharpie. Gasoline, all right, the gas station, and then AC unit. When the AC turns on and that air comes out, I don't know what it is, but that smell.
It's like the hot air first, right? Like the hot air first. Like, you know what?
Like, dirty ducks, baby. Dirty ducks.
I think I'm with you on that. I don't know why. When I turn the AC on and I go into the kitchen, I get that first 20 seconds of like hot, nasty air. And I'm always like, what is that? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you just stay there, though. You stay there, right? It's probably bad for you. It's like,
horrible. They'll find out in 20 years that's what killed
me.
Right.
What is this on my neck? It's like
he used to like to sniff the air vents,
Right. Or Zach, he was sniffing the air vents, and like that was it for him at that point.
Dirty vent guy. That's dirty vent guy.
And the weird thing was he had 5 Sharpies in his pocket. I'm not really sure why.
He went out with 5 Sharpies.
So weird. 5 Sharpies and right next to an AC vent. That's where he lays. Right?
That was the end.
That's it.
Oh gosh. My goodness. So that's a great way to end it right there.
Perfect.
Zach, man, I have to tell you, this is an absolute pleasure to have you on. I know we ran a little over, but that's what happens when you you just talk and you have a good time. I appreciate you taking this time. It really means a lot. Hopefully it's not the last time, my man.
Nope.
What
Won't be the last time, right?
That's all. I appreciate that. So right now you are, just to make sure, you are the digital content producer at 560 WQAM. Is that right?
Yep. That's
are you still doing shows?
Yeah, whenever they have me doing shows or want me to do shows, I'm good to go. Otherwise, I live in Krantz's Corner. Everything that I do goes through that. And I'm doing some other stuff here and there, but I've been a radio dork for 20 plus years. I'll be a radio dork until they stop paying me.
There you go. Alex, any final thoughts, brother?
No, I just want to reiterate, Zach, how cool it is to talk to you because, for example, you always hear someone on the radio, you hear them talking to these global icons at times, these local icons, but it's always cool to sit down, and we've had a chance to talk to a few, and for us it hits home because we grew up with you guys. And it was not to age you guys at all, but we grew up idolizing and kind of wanting to do what you guys do. And now what I love is, and maybe you can attest to this before you go, the difference between doing regular radio and podcasting is the chill environment where you're talking with your boys or hanging out on a professional level, but it's at a personal communication style, which is down to earth, is human beings to human beings, just watching the game, enjoying. So I'm just glad that you took some time out of your Sunday with your family to spend time with us and hang out with us. So whenever you want, whenever you're available, we would love to always have you back in chat. And we'll have more interesting questions for you.
Those questions at the end got me back. Like, you got me back. The smell question, I'm in forever now.
If you think of anything later, just message me.
I will. I promise. Listen, in all honesty, my pleasure, guys. I love doing what I'm doing. I love the transition to the digital side of things. Like I said, I used to fight with the digital people back in the day. You don't know what you're doing, blah, blah. And now I'm that guy. I love it. So I'm a total hypocrite, and I'm here to say that. But the one good thing about my job over the last 2 decades, being in radio, being in South Florida, I'm South Florida born and raised. So like when I talk to other people that are from Hialeah, that are from Davie, from West Palm Beach, that are from Key West, that are from Orlando, whatever the case may be, and they're big sports fans, and they said they've heard me once, twice, or 1,000,000 times, that's cool for me, because there's a lot of times I don't think about how many people are listening, how many people are impacted by radio, how many people by one thing I say or one thing that was said on a show that I was on means something to them. So it's cool to kind of meet the people. And I say meet the people on the streets because that's how I look at it. Everyone's listening. And I love to do that. I love to see. I met so many people over the last couple of years doing what I'm doing right now with you guys that I love it. I think it's great. And to be honest with you, and I'll leave on this one, I'm 45 years old. I have a son. I have a wife. I have a mortgage. I'm an adult. I have never worked a day in my life, and I'm proud to say that. Everything I've done is, to me, for the love of sports, for the love of what I'm doing. And like I said, until I'm stopped paying every 2 weeks, until 1 week the direct deposit's not there, and I realize I'm fired, I'm going to be doing what I'm doing and loving every second of it.
There you go.
That's great, man.
There you go. Everyone else, thank you all for tuning in, wherever you're tuning in from, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. We appreciate you guys. Everyone who participated in the comments, Cap, come here now, Beach 89, color commentary, Mom, Ralph, everyone who's tuning in. Thank you all so much. We appreciate you. So Dolphins news very quick. Dolphins will host Emmanuel Akpa for a workout on Monday.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Smart move.
Moving on.
Bring him in.
He's familiar. Bring him in.
Bring him
Love
back.
it.
Right.
All right. That's Zach Krantz, Alex, Bobby. We appreciate you all. Have a great Sunday.